Hi everyone, welcome back. This is another video in The Sims 4. Today I am building, as the title probably suggests, the biggest and most expensive lot I have ever seen in The Sims 4. Um, there may be one bigger out there. In fact, I'm pretty sure there probably is. This game has been out since 2014. Um, and in fairness, you could quite easily make a really expensive lot in this game if you just placed loads of the same object. I'm thinking that like 15,000 simoleons violin. But obviously, that's not what this video is about. I'm not looking for the easy route, hence why I've built this mega hotel. So, a couple of interesting kind of facts about the hotel is it actually has 8 floors above ground and then 4 basement floors, so 12 floors in total. However, obviously you can't build 8 floors above ground in The Sims 4. The game doesn't let you do it. I mean, there might be a mod out there, but this lot, I should say, doesn't have any mods or CC in it. So I haven't used any mods to it. I've used kind of like a building hack to kind of work around it. Basically, it involves placing the foundation tool. It's quite complicated to explain, but if you do watch the video throughout, you'll probably see how that happens. Also, make sure you stay tuned for the end of the video because there's some really good screenshots that I've got. And I've also got some kind of like pictures of the floor plan on each level. So I don't normally include that in the build videos, but because this is such a big build, if I was to do a screenshot of every room, it would just take that in itself would probably be like an hour long. So I figured let's just do one of the floor plans. There's a couple of screenshots of my favorite kind of areas of each floor, but overall, there's going to be some good screenshots at the end anyway. So definitely stay tuned for those, or skip to the end if you don't want to hear me talk for the next like 20 minutes. That's entirely up to you. I personally think this is going to be a good video though. So if I was you, I'd stay tuned. But yeah, as you can see, we're sort of just building the main kind of structure at the moment. And initially, like I never planned on having those additional floors that you see in the thumbnail. So originally it was just going to be a kind of square lot. And the kind of inspiration for this build was I built a house for 12.7 million simoleons, and that was pretty big. That was a pretty big lot. It was also a hotel basically, and I was like, this is cool, but I want to build something bigger because I noticed that someone uploaded a video on YouTube of a 10 million simoleon house. And I was like, oh, people are getting close to that now on YouTube. I mean, there may be one that's on YouTube which is 40 million. I just haven't seen it. And if there is, please link it below. Please link the most expensive builds below because I wasn't able to find them. But if they exist, definitely tell me about it because I would be interested to see what the record is. And if the record's above this, then I'd have to go and beat it. So it's kind of like a win for you as well because you get to see another more expensive house. So yeah, anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. But yeah, as you can see, it sort of just started off as like a square build. Originally, I was going to try and recreate Buckingham Palace, but it's just really hard to recreate that building just because it takes up, in reality, it's such a big plot of land that it takes up, and it just was never going to look great in The Sims. So I decided, you know what, let's not do that. Let's build our own style. Um, I did call it like a London Palace Hotel though, because it looks like a palace from the outside. It looks like it could be in London. I think use your imagination a little bit, just because obviously this lot that I built it on in Windenburg is just surrounded by fields. But I kind of imagined it would be surrounded on either side by like roads and pathways and other buildings around it. So a real city centre building, but obviously there's no 64 by 64 lot in the game that is in kind of a city centre location. Like there's ones near cities, but there's nothing really ideal. So I decided, you know what, this lot will look good in the thumbnail. I was going to use the 64 by 64 lot in Del Sol Valley, but I didn't want people to get the wrong impression of this build, and I didn't really want to have to take, like, I feel like if you build on that lot in Del Sol Valley, you kind of want to design the house around the view. And obviously, if this is supposed to be in a city, there's not really going to be much of a view. So I thought it just made more sense to build it here. You also notice it's got like a courtyard in the middle, but you'll notice it's not like a complete courtyard. You'll see that gap kind of split in 2 halves. Well, I say 2 halves of the building. It's just sort of imagine a ring, but then you cut a bit out. That's kind of what this is like. So it doesn't the courtyard doesn't complete all the way around, and that wasn't deliberate at first, but basically I did connect the whole building, so it was all one big square with the courtyard in the middle. But unfortunately, it kind of glitches out the game if you do that. So what happens is you go when you zoom out, or not even zoom out, but basically the game thinks that that courtyard is a room, so it doesn't render the windows properly, and it's kind of annoying. But the only way around it at the time I could think of was to kind of cut a bit out just so that it stops those windows glitching out. There might have been another way around it. Probably was another way around it, but I wanted to that was kind of the easiest way around it for me. And it also made for like an interesting floor plan because it kind of made me a little bit more aware that obviously you don't want to put two rooms next to each other that rely like you wouldn't want a kitchen say next to the restaurant if they've got that kind of gap in the middle. So it kind of made for an interesting floor plan. But as you can see at the moment, we're just sort of building the bedrooms. All the bedrooms are very similar in terms of the furniture in them, all very expensive, all high quality. But a lot of the bedrooms are actually different sizes and they're rotated in different, so they're facing different directions. So it's not like all the beds are facing right. Some of the beds are facing in, some of them out, some of them are at the back of the room, some are at the front. So not all the rooms are exactly the same, but I don't video all the rooms because there's just no need. Like they've all got the same furniture, just slightly different shapes. So if you do want to see each individual room, then you download this house, which will be linked below. Otherwise, um, yeah, I mean, you'll see it in the screenshots what each bedroom looks like. But yeah, there was just no need to film each room. It would have been a really boring video to watch because there's actually, I think there's like 84 bedrooms in the house and 100 bathrooms, which is definitely the most I've ever seen in a build. Well, the most I've ever put in a build. I think there is 100 bedroom houses on the gallery because you would use them for like the 100 sim challenges and stuff if you've got the mods installed, which is again I don't have installed, but if you do want to use this house for that mod, it'd make quite an interesting video. Although you'd probably break your game unless you've got like a really powerful computer. But yeah, just so yeah, we built the bedrooms there. Now we're just adding like a garbage disposal area. And as you can see as well, you'll see like those shafts. They're actually kind of like the cargo lifts. So obviously they don't work because you don't get lifts in this game. But I used the shipping container doors from Eco Lifestyle just to make it look like an elevator. But it's actually not a real elevator, but it looks like one. And currently next to each staircase, there's 4 stairwells in the building. And also next to each stairwell, there's also a decorative lift, I've called it. Again, they don't work, but they do look like real lifts, which is pretty cool. Because I was like, what hotel doesn't have lifts, especially when it's this tall? So that was kind of the only way I could do it. Obviously, if you download this, you could download the mod that lets you place multiple lifts in one lot. But as you've already seen before, I don't use mods, so I've had to kind of use these decorative lifts. Decorative lifts. So as you can see now, this kind of section above the build has just appeared. What you'll notice is the courtyard's still pretty much empty. And basically what you kind of got to imagine is that this central tower, there's more of a gap between the tower and the actual building, but because of the constraints of the lot, being a 64 by 64 lot, I couldn't make that gap any bigger, which is why it's the size it is. But ended up working really well. But basically you can't build anything like walls underneath this bit in the middle, just because the game thinks that we're on the 4th floor right now, even though we're on technically like the 7th floor. But it's just because I've used the foundation tool and I've dragged it up because because this part of the build isn't actually connected to the main build itself. It will be in the basement, but it isn't in this like on ground level. And that's kind of how you get around it. It is a bit complicated to explain. If you know what I mean, you'll know exactly what I mean, but it's definitely something worth trying out, but it doesn't work for every build because obviously you can't build underneath it. So I was lucky I could hide it because of just the natural shape of the build. But yeah, there's some side effects as well. So for example, all the bedrooms that look on the inside technically probably don't get much natural light, but as I said, just imagine there's more gap. So yeah, just building the warehouse as well now, or the delivery center. Yeah, this is like the delivery area. So you can see there's like quite a lot of security here. The cargo elevators. Then you've got like the nice delivery area. This is like a security room, just because there's going to be a big vault at the bottom of this build, and like this is kind of where anything stored in the vault kind of enters and exits the building. So you need security. So yeah, just building like this security area, and then kind of I wanted to make this kind of like delivery area a lot bigger in the build, but because it's not really a functional area, like Sims won't use it. Not that you would probably download this house to play it anyway; it'd probably be way too laggy. But it's not like a functional area, and like so. And there's also not there's like only so many objects you can place in like a warehouse delivery looking spot base in the build. So I decided just to keep it nice and kind of compact. So it looked good in the end, anyway. And then just building the hallways at the moment, trying to make them like really grand, really lavish, really exciting there. And then here we're kind of just building, well, we're just building more hallways actually. But yeah, this is actually the staff entrance. To kind of like, so if you start your shift, then you'd come in this entrance here. Kind of use some interesting wall decorations that look, I think they're supposed to be like urinal dividers, but obviously you don't get urinals in the game. But that's what they kind of reminded me of. But they also look like the kind of gates that you get in like office blocks, like security gates, where you'd like swipe a key card to enter. So I kind of just thought that was a cool idea. And I used the green lights just to kind of, basically it's like, oh yeah, you can enter now. And you can imagine they turn red if someone comes in that's not supposed to be there. And yeah, just adding like, there's loads of like desks around the place, like just where like, I guess secretaries would sit or receptionists would sit. So anyone entering the building would say, oh, hello, I'm coming here to see this person. Maybe they're having a meeting. So they need to wait in the staff area for someone to come down and get them. Or if they got a job interview, or maybe they just need a new pass to get into the building, that's where they'd go. And then once they've gone through the security, there's like the staff concierge there. If you need to like book a room out or whatever you need to do. I don't know, it's just a cool area to have in the build. I thought it was realistic because the kind of hotel that this is, it's a really fancy hotel, and like I'm kind of imagining that the paying guests don't want to associate themselves, or at least don't want to be seen to go into the same entrance as the staff. So it just makes it overall nicer build. And I think as well for the staff, it's probably quite nice because kind of get a nice quick way into the building. Not that it really matters because it's a Sims, but I tried to make it realistic. Just added some toilets into this area as well. There's loads of toilets in the build, but I don't film a lot of them just because, again, they're pretty similar. But yeah, I thought it's just nice to have. So now we're just kind of building. This is basically the start of the vault. What I did is I used the platforms to make like these really solid looking walls. Obviously, you don't need to do that in The Sims, but it just kind of gives that more immersive feel that this is like a high security area. Again, using those kind of like glass gates as well, just to make it as it is. I also made one of them like double width, just because I use this table that has wheels on it in the catalog, and I can imagine like people will be bringing like trays of gold or whatever is stored in the vault. So you need a kind of bigger entrance to get in there. Ends up being a really big vault as well. Pretty sure the vault itself, the value of the contents in it, probably totals about 5 or 6 million, maybe 10 million, just in terms of like what's in the vault. And that was kind of one of the ways that I could make this build 30 million, is just utilizing this vault area. I didn't just place loads of the same objects. Saying that, there is loads of the gold frogs in here, just sort of how it was ended up being. But it's not like I placed them, used them with objects on cheat to place the gold frog on top of each other. So, like for example, it might look like there's one frog, but you could make it so there's actually 100 frogs where there's actually where you can only see one. I didn't do any of that. I didn't do. Each frog is individually placed, and it has its own space. So anyway, enough said about the gold frogs. The kind of You'll see as well in this build that there's a lot of areas that I actually get rid of in the end. So initially, like all the stairwells were going to lead down to the bottom floor, but I thought about it and I was like, actually, if you're in a vault and it's a high security area, you only really want one stairwell to get to it. So, and the game was starting to get really laggy, so I was like, I can't fill every room on the lot. It just isn't going to work. So I ended up deleting some of the basement areas just because I don't know. I ran out of things to put in them, yeah, I just thought it looked better like this anyway. But you'll notice as well, in front of like the entrance to the vault, there's kind of like an archaeology area. So kind of imagine that people bring their kind of like big rocks or whatever they've got that they feel like might have fossils in, and then they chip away at them in that area, and then they put them in the vault for safekeeping until the people come and collect them. So that's kind of the business that's going on down here. But also, like the company that runs the hotel as well, they've just got a lot of inventory of like valuable artifacts that they want to keep safe. If I could have made it like a casino, I would have definitely done that, but there's no casino objects in the game really, so I didn't want to try and make it look like a casino because I just didn't think it looked very good. But if they do make I mean, I don't think they'll make a casino pack because I don't think they want to really endorse gambling, which is understandable. Me personally, like I don't particularly like gambling. I I don't choose to gamble anyway. It's just not something I'm personally interested in. Some people do make money from it, but I think a lot of people also lose money from it. So I kind of rather just not get involved in it. But yeah, if it's something you enjoy doing, then that'd probably be right up your street. Casino pack. For me, it'd be cool just because it'd be a cool looking build. But I don't like gambling in real life, so I probably wouldn't like gambling in The Sims. So it's not really like a pack that I really want. I'd rather have a pack where I can build hotels first. But if that was, if it did come out, I'd definitely build a casino. But anyway, enough rambling on about what isn't in the game. Let's go back to what is in the game. So as you can see, building more objects here. I put the Mandalorian in the vault just because it's got to be done, hasn't it? It's just funny, isn't it? Really. Also, there's like a wooden, like a sculpture that's made out of like wood that you can see. Yeah, I kind of just showed it on the screen there. That's actually the most expensive object in the game. There is only one of them in the vault because well, it doesn't look that expensive, and people would look at that and be like, "Why are you storing that in a vault?" But then when you pick it up and you see the price of it, you'd be like, "Ah, it's like 14,000 simoleons." Sorry, no, 15,000, I think. So yeah, that's why it's so expensive. Yeah, just adding more to the vault here, there, and everywhere. The kind of inspiration with this vault actually is if you play GTA 5 and you've done the casino heist. I don't want to give it away, but well, I've basically done it now, haven't I? But yeah, you end up in a vault at the end of it, which doesn't look that similar to it, but like the bars going down, protecting like the pictures behind the walls, like that is a feature of that vault. So basically got the idea off there. But obviously that vault in GTA is round. The one in this that I've built is square. So it's not exact copy. It's just inspired by. And then I thought it was cool. I put like a little. There's like this table with like an island model in it. You can see it in one of the in the archaeology rooms. I thought that would be a cool idea. Maybe um, that's where they're digging at the moment. They're digging on the island to find like treasures. So they need a model of it just so that they can see where people are. So I thought that was a cool idea. Also, I needed to put something on that table, and I thought, well, this is a bit different. Um, so yeah, that's why I did that. And then there's another section to the vault over here. This is kind of where the stuff starts out when it gets down here. So this is like the stuff that still needs to be uncovered. So like you got the rocks, you got the different artifacts, whatever you want to call it. And you've also got the counterfeit goods in here as well because you don't want them getting mixed up with the good stuff. So you've got counterfeit goods and then you've got the really expensive stuff kind of in the vault. But yeah, just adding more of these pictures. But yeah, I was really happy how the vault turned out. You'd kind of think that that big bit in the middle, that pink kind of almost crystal but like stuck into the rocks would be like the main most expensive item in the build, but it's really not. I don't even think it's 2,000 simoleons to be fair. So yeah, it's actually but I just thought it looked cool in the middle. It was big, so that's why we done it. But yeah, just I'll go over kind of as we are in the vault for quite a while. But I'll go over some of the interesting kind of facts about this build. Well, what's in the build anyway. So along with the vault, there's also a cooking class area. Yeah, a cooking class area. There's what you see at the moment, which is the 4-screen cinema. I was really happy with how that turned out. There's also like a really big gym, which also has a basketball court. There's an indoor pool. There's also a rooftop pool, which you probably saw at the start of the video. There is a basketball court in the gym. There was meant to be an ice skating rink, but instead, what I put there instead of the ice skating rink, you will see the ice skating rink. Well, you'll see me place an ice skating rink in the video. Well, you might. I don't know if you'll see me place it in the video, but you'll certainly see an ice skating rink at some point. But I actually get rid of that because I replace it with a theatre. And when I say theatre, I don't mean like a cinema theatre because I've already got 4 screens, so we don't need one of them. But I replaced it with like a. If you've ever been to like Broadway in New York or the West End in London, they've got like theatres. So it's actually like a proper theatre where like people would act. Or in the case that I used in this build, it's more like a concert venue, but it's a 60-seat theatre, which for a theatre isn't that big, but for The Sims, 60 seats is way more than you'll ever need. At least at the moment in The Sims 4, because I don't know what the maximum amount of Sims can be on a lot is, but it's definitely less than 60 anyway. Anyway, just getting on to the list of other areas of the build, we've also got a nursery. There's going to be 2 retail stores. So one of them's like a gift store where you can buy like the gold frogs. I thought that was quite a. And then the other one's more of like a general grocery store for people that are staying at the hotel if they just want. Not everyone wants to go to a restaurant every night, so I thought, well, let's just put a shop there anyway, just so you can get like your general bits and bobs. I don't know, bottles of water, whatever you want. You can get it in that grocery store. There's also a small observatory, which you probably saw at the start in the roof. There's multiple office areas, just because like I've worked not in a hotel, but I've worked in a lot of like in the hospitality industry, and you have offices next to the restaurants, or at least near the restaurants, or just office areas, because that's what you need. Because you need to do like orders from there, you need to do marketing, you need to do stock control, you need to do like HR stuff. So you do need offices around. There's like a mini first aid area, um, not a full-on like hospital, just a small first aid area, which is pretty nice little detail there. There's also a spa because, well, it's a super luxury hotel. You need a spa. What you just saw there was also a barber shop slash hair salon. And currently, we're also building 1 of 4 bars. So this is the sky bar because it's at the top of the build. Originally, I was going to make the top of the build like a, well, I don't know what to call it, like one of the, we have like a super luxury suite. So it's like just a little bit better than the others. But instead, I was like, actually, a sky bar would be so much cooler. Because I just thought it was. And yeah, there's like over like 100 bathrooms. There's 4 bars. There's also like a games room slash bowling alley, which is pretty nice as well. And there's like a sculpture area because I had like a big hallway that I needed to fill. Um, and yeah, right now we're just building like the reception area, so as you can see, plenty of seating areas, plenty of spaces where you can wait. So if you maybe you're meeting someone who's staying at the hotel, or sometimes like in the past when I've gone to hotels, I've gone with like a big group of people for work, so they you end up having to wait in the lobby just for like your colleagues to come down, whatever it is. Also building the business centre because every hotel that I've been to seems to have like a conference centre. Well, not every, but a lot of hotels do. So you've got like this conference area, and it was pretty cool actually designed because in the past where I've been to hotels with conference areas, often they're like one room, another room, but you can usually take out the wall in the middle to make it a big room. So I've kind of on the first floor, you can see it's one big room, but you've got like the divider that's been pulled in, and then on the floor above, the divider's fixed in place, so it actually looks like there's 2 rooms there. I just thought it was a cool touch, and each room's slightly differently laid out, just depending on what kind of meeting or presentation's going on there. Also building a really big laundry room because obviously you're going to have all that bedding. Well, I've kind of themed it so that this hotel operates a laundry service. So there's actually kind of 2 desks for the laundry room. You've got one which is facing the guest areas, and then one in the staff area, because I kind of thought, well, maybe staff bring their uniform here, aprons if they're a chef, whatever it is, they can bring it down here to get it washed. And that's pretty realistic of where I've been as well. Like when I used to work at a theme park, there was an area in the theme park called the base camp, which was only accessible to staff, but it's where you took like your clothes at the end of your shift, and you could just they'd wash them for you, and you come back the next day and get another one, which is pretty cool, I thought. Also building the nursery here. Ended up being quite a small nursery area, but got all the stuff you need, just toys really. It's a hotel, so you probably wouldn't leave your kids in there for that long. And then the room next to it ends up being like a cafe as well. I can't remember if I actually showed the footage of that. I think I cut it because it's not the most interesting at cafes, but there is a cafe if you're wondering. And now we are on to the bit where we build like the first aid area. So pretty nice little first aid place, pretty handy, especially if you're feeling a bit under the weather. So this is where you come to get like your medicines, and nice little waiting area as well, just in case it's busy. Hopefully it's not too busy if you need to go, because it's probably an emergency, otherwise you wouldn't be going there in the first place. But thought, nevertheless, let's just put a waiting area anyway. And then just building like, I put on the top floor, like there's a few staff rooms downstairs throughout the building, but I put some like staff bedrooms, like, well, I call them dormitories upstairs, just so if staff are doing like night shifts or whatever. I just thought, I don't know if all hotels would have like staff bedrooms, but I'm sure there's hotels out there. So I thought, let's make it like a really nice staff area for them. And then we're kind of building like, this is the kind of fourth bar. It's kind of themed towards a nightclub as well. And as you'll see, I used a glass dance floor, and that lets you see from the top floor right down into the reception area. I thought that was a really cool touch. Obviously not ideal if you're afraid of heights, but I don't know. You probably had a drink as well, which for some probably makes it worse, but whatever. Um, it was just like you don't often get to use that glass kind of dance floor in it, like for what it is. Like, so I thought it was a cool touch. And yeah, just building the bowling alley, adding the score screens. This is how I pretty much do every bowling alley. Um, in fact, I find it hard to do a bowling alley without putting the screens above the lanes, just because it's a bowling alley. Like you need the screens, and then just adding the disco lights, because of course, what bowling alley doesn't have colourful light? And then just kind of like the check-in for the bowling alley. So you come here, get your shoes, and then you got like the nice seats down by the lanes, and you can go and pick the ball that you want to bowl with. So yeah, that's the bowling alley done. And then there's gonna, like, I don't show the footage of it, but there's like a games room behind it. And then this is the theatre that I was talking about. Uh, yeah, so it's a massive 60-seat theatre. You'll see more of it in the screenshots, which are coming up in about 10 seconds. So anyway, thanks very much for watching the video. And yeah, enjoy the screenshots, and I'll catch you in the next one.